looking like a true survivor, feeling like a little kid.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the 30 worst TV shows of the century so far.
Keep in mind, this isn't like home where everybody's like us. So remember the rule. Stick to your kind. Crave the cave.
Number 30, Skins.
You are aware that Edith Stamp Collegiate is an exclusively female private institute?
Oh, I am.
Oh, and you think you can just walk in here and pick off girls like flies?
It's that easy, huh?
While the original Skins series garnered critical acclaim and helped launch careers, the same could not be said for its American remake. The edgy MTV teen drama faced heavy controversy as soon as it aired. Viewers and critics were uncomfortable with the amount of mature situations the young actors playing teenagers found themselves in during the series.
After all that I did for you? Yep. It's embarrassing, Stanley.
Outside of the controversy, some of the show's awkward and oddly paced storylines didn't really resonate with audiences. It didn't take long for the ratings to start sinking for this troubled teen drama. The failure of the MTV program showed that not every idea can translate perfectly to a new audience.
That life can continue, although it may be different, and the journey of grief is complete.
Number 29, The Island. We imagine that the pitch for this series started with, imagine Lost, but stupid.
So, we don't know who or where we are? And we got two things.
This Netflix show was widely disliked, being found guilty of bad writing, inconsistent themes, and a jarring use of flashbacks. You don't have to watch for long to see why this show was a flop. The dialogue is truly laughable.
Enough with the moping.
I'm not moping, I'm tanning.
But perhaps the series' most disturbing failure was its unsuccessful attempt to make social commentary on serious issues. Overall, The Island is all over the place and failing on all fronts. If you were brave enough to finish season 1, don't expect a season 2.
What are we even doing out here?
Maybe we're dead and this is heaven.
Number 28, Ironside.
See, old me would have bounced your ass off these four walls for opening your mouth to me like that. But new me, I got a lot of time to sit and think.
Although Detective Robert Ironside is severely injured on the job, he continues working in law enforcement while using a wheelchair. While putting the talented Blair Underwood in the lead role was great, people took issue with the fact that he can walk around without assistance in real life. But that was far from the show's only problem. Ironside and a few of his officers were all committed to being as gritty as possible. When they weren't breaking pretty much every rule, they were dealing with a supervisor who mostly spoke in cop show cliches.
What the hell is wrong with you? You cannot do this. Suspects have rights.
We read him his rights.
I am running out of patience, Bob.
Ironside's questionable casting and lack of originality ensured that 4 episodes were shown before it was canceled. In a television climate full of great cop dramas, this one wasn't missed.
So do yourself a favor on this one and give me a break.
Yeah? Who's gonna give me one?
Number 27, Disjointed.
Acknowledge his efforts.
Oh, you millennials, you're always asking for validation. Everybody gets a Quidditch trophy.
A sitcom created by the famous comedy TV legend Chuck Lorre and starring Kathy Bates should have been a massive hit. But this Netflix series about a shop that sells products based around a certain recreational plant flopped instead. Despite having great talent behind and in front of the camera, Disjointed still relied way too heavily on cheap stereotypes to generate jokes. It also featured bizarre cutaway gags that were extremely hit or miss.
At Young and High, we specialize in cases of extreme snack delay. Our attorneys have a combined 60 years experience in helping victims of dilatory foodstuff syndrome get the restitution and justice they deserve.
And the cast of characters ranged from forgettable to absolutely intolerable. Since all of these factors didn't mesh well together, we think Disjointed was the perfect title for this underwhelming sitcom.
Jesus Christ, that's just offensive.
I heard it when I said it.
Number 26, Fairview. This Comedy Central adult animation series about a small American town and its mayor had a goldmine of hot-button political issues to draw from.
Look at him. One more self-congratulatory TV appearance and he has this crisis solved.
But despite being executive produced by The Late Show's Stephen Colbert, the show fails to provide commentary with any satirical value whatsoever. It takes the vulgarity of South Park but eliminates the unique cultural critique.
Do you want to cancel me? Or do you want to ride?
And don't even get us started on the animation style. Seriously, who let this happen? Oh, right, Colbert. It just goes to show that even the greats still make mistakes.
When you live in a town like Fairview, all you have is each other. So act like reckless dumbasses all you want, as much as you want. But let's try not to become comfortable harming ourselves or our fellow dumbasses.
Yay! Number 25, The Last Templar. If this plot summary sounds at all interesting, we strongly advise that you go read the book instead.
I can get you one of the two.
This miniseries, based on the novel of the same name by Raymond Corey, is an adventure following an archaeologist who travels the world in hopes of decoding an ancient secret code.
Are exactly where Al-Idrisi said it should be.
Who?
Al-Idrisi. The great cartographer, perhaps the greatest of all time?
The show does a remarkably poor job of pacing its complicated plot, and has some heavy-handed religious implications that can be off-putting for some audiences. And the cherry on top of any bad television show, the acting here is atrocious.
I'm sorry, Father, this isn't what I signed up for.
Number 24, Melany.
Right, I'm supposed to fill his humidifiers. He has one in the bedroom and one in the living room, and they're really deep, so you have to fill them up in the bathtub.
God, we're all just gonna die one day.
Do you remember the series where a comedian does stand-up in real life before we cut to fictional stories set in New York with quirky people? Unfortunately, we are not talking about Seinfeld. The Melany series borrowed all those recognizable elements from the legendary sitcom. Although the lead comedian had some funny jokes in his stand-up, the rest of his series fell short of expectations.
What's her problem?
She's just going through a breakup. Also, you're very unpleasant.
Jane, you are single.
Too close.
Okay.
The ensemble cast was full of funny actors stuck with one-note personalities in mundane situations. And since its premise was so related to Seinfeld, it couldn't escape comparisons to the much funnier show. If Melany had had a more original setup and given its talents better material, it might have made it past a critically panned 13-episode run.
1,200 views, very impressive. And you write all those little mean things below?
No, those are my fans.
Number 23, Living Biblically. Lord have mercy. This CBS sitcom is all about a man who recently lost his best friend and decides to live his life strictly by the Bible.
It's like a soul cleanse. Now, I can't explain it exactly, but I feel it.
Because everyone's always saying how the only thing missing from multicam comedies is the good book. Okay, no one's saying that. And for good reason.
I consider Chip Catholic in the same way I consider the Olive Garden Italian.
Living Biblically is basically every other sitcom you've seen, but the twist is our protagonist has stringent self-imposed religious expectations. This adds no nuance or comedy to the tired plot lines, but instead adds a pointless and strange layer to them.
Freeze frame, high five.
No.
Number 22, St. George.
Come on, take this mask off! What the hell is going on in here? We're watching Mexican wrestling. It's a good fight, too. A lot of blood.
Years after George Lopez appeared in a self-titled family sitcom, he tried his hand at a comedy aimed at a more adult audience. He starred as a man named George Lopez who attempts to jump back into the dating world after a divorce. At the same time, he's also a night school teacher who has to avoid a vice principal's inappropriate advances.
I can tell there's something weighing heavy on your heart, okay? Don't think of me as the voluptuous woman down the hall who would give herself to you in a heartbeat.
This weird premise has tons of mean-spirited humor and awful characters. And since the stakes are so low in the show's bland plots, it was a slog to sit through. After 10 episodes, FX chose to pull the plug on this unremarkable comedy. It easily stands as George Lopez's worst sitcom effort.
You guys really think I'm that sad? Yeah. Go on, come on, George. Come on. George, all right, wait for you. Wait, shh. Come on.
Number 21, Hunters. Yes, even shows about aliens can be bad. We're just as upset about it as you are.
This information remains classified, period.
Airing on the Sci-Fi Network, this drama was an adaptation of the novel Alien Hunter by Whitley Strieber. In it, we follow Flynn Carroll of the FBI, who, upon his wife's disappearance, discovers the existence of alien terrorists and begins to track them down.
You can't stop us. We're inside. Inside what?
But the series' low-budget visual and special effects, its lack of exciting storytelling, and over-familiar plot ideas made it fall flat on its face. And so, we have yet another one-season wonder.
You don't know a damn thing about what I'm going through. Maybe not.
Number 20, Killer Instinct. Watching this show, it seems like the creators came up with the title first and then forgot to make it any good.
Hale. Hey, Jeff. Heard you're back. How you doing?
Better than her.
This crime series is about Jack Hale, a detective in the fictional Deviant Crimes Unit of the San Francisco Police Department. What gives Hale his title-worthy killer instinct? His father was a serial killer, of course.
How do you feel about deviant crime?
I'm against it.
Good.
But this key character and plot point is lazily shoehorned in, not holding any real weight in the stakes of the show. Also, the crimes investigated go far beyond deviant. They are bizarrely grotesque.
Get it off her.
Now! 10 minutes paralysis sets in. In about 9 hours, she's dead, unless you agree to help us.
What are you talking about?
Number 19, Hawaii. If there's a television genre that never seems to go out of style, it's crime drama procedurals. But that certainly does not mean they're always foolproof.
Hey, detective. You gotta see this.
Not to be confused with the classic Hawaii Five-0, this NBC cop show also followed a task force based in Honolulu.
Is there a problem? You want to get into this here?
Yes, yeah.
I'm getting too many complaints about you two.
Its fatal flaw was the blatant unoriginality in both concept and execution, especially with such a close comparison to the hit CBS series. The first season of Hawaii was intended to have an 8-episode run, but only 7 were released before its inevitable cancellation.
You think he's gonna file a complaint?
I think we're gonna lose our jobs.
Number 18, Dr. Ken.
You're embarrassing me in front of Danny Willis.
Yeah, that's what's happening here.
Ken Jeong is one of the funniest men working in Hollywood. So we were very excited to hear that he was getting his own series where he played a funny doctor. But we were left sorely disappointed by the final product. Jeong's doctor character falls into many of the typical sitcom husband cliches. He can be overbearing, idiotic, and out of touch with what his family wants.
Ollie's growing up. We gotta give her some freedom.
Kids don't need freedom. They need, what's the opposite of freedom? Duct tape. They need to be taped down.
And although the show has a unique medical premise at its core, the plots often drift into more mundane storylines that you'd be able to find in any sitcom. Dr. Ken failed to win over critics over its 2-season run. Unfortunately, Jeong's charisma and actual medical experience were not enough to save this comedic series.
I don't know, I guess maybe they wanted more thinking man's comedy and less desperate man's comedy. You know, more cerebral humor and less of the rubber-faced clowning that is your trademark.
Number 17, Criminal Minds Beyond Borders.
Over 68 million Americans leave the safety of our borders every year. If danger strikes, the FBI's International Response Team is called into action.
On paper, using the successful Criminal Minds formula to create a spin-off where a team solves international cases sounds pretty incredible. It was also exciting to hear that actors like Gary Sinise, Alana De La Garza, and Tyler James Williams would make up the core ensemble. But the premise and cast were overshadowed by accusations that the spin-off was extremely tone-deaf.
The director personally tasked us to investigate, and we're not going to wait for a body.
Good. Local police should know that we're all on the same side.
It's not their job to worry about missing Americans. It's ours.
Critics felt that Beyond Borders constantly made countries outside of the US look violent and dangerous. As the show continued to promote harmful stereotypes, the cast failed to make the same good impression that the original Criminal Minds crew did. Even the most hardcore franchise fans didn't mourn the loss of this controversial spin-off.
There's only one victim. He took 3 people at once, and it's nature that's serial.
Look, apologies if we've offended you. Every culture has their version of multiple violations.
Number 16, Off Center. From the team that created the American Pie franchise comes disappointment. Having to live up to expectations is a difficult task, but Off Center fully missed the mark.
Oh my God. This elevator is bigger than our old apartment. Look at this. Look at what I'm touching. Nothing.
Airing for 2 seasons on the WB network, this sitcom follows friends Mike and Ewan and their New York antics and adventures. The plot lines throughout the show are far from unique, resting on tired tropes for their stories.
So you were projecting your own fear and mistrust onto Liz, which is why you thought it was necessary to lie.
I should be going out with you.
Dormant bisexual nature.
And taking place in 2001 as it did, there are countless sexist and homophobic jokes that simply aren't funny. Even with the magnificent John Cho in their cast, this series still doesn't land.
Sit down. I'm gonna bring you the check in a minute. In a minute.
I'm sorry,
In a minute.
Number 15, Tucker. This NBC sitcom is about a young boy named Tucker who must move in with his aunt, uncle, and cousin after his parents' divorce.
This isn't Buckingham Palace, you know. Though it is a bit nicer than your old house.
On the surface, it seems to be your run-of-the-mill early 2000s family series. But you will quickly learn upon watching that the major obstacle that our protagonist faces is his constant preteen excitement.
I couldn't help noticing you talking to Mrs. Reed just now.
Seems you can't help noticing a great many things I do.
Instead of tackling teen boy problems in a humorous or interesting way, Tucker comes off as weirdly sexual and underthought.
I'm sorry, did that put a bad visual in your head?
It's okay.
Number 14, Charlie's Angels.
Who are you? You don't look like cops.
We're not. We're angels.
The original Charlie's Angels series was a fun romp where 3 women worked undercover to solve crimes while starring in over-the-top set pieces. When ABC rebooted the show, they decided to take the premise a lot more seriously. But the grounded tone didn't work for the new Angels. Although actresses like Rachel Taylor and Minka Kelly are great in other thrilling series, their characters felt underdeveloped here.
Is that what you're doing right now?
I know you're upset because Gloria came to me instead of you, but the fact that your feelings are hurt isn't my problem.
Ding ding. Love a cat fight, but ladies, please, back to your corners.
And if all that wasn't bad enough, the action scenes failed to impress due to their headache-inducing editing and lack of creativity. Neither viewers nor the network stuck behind this reboot for long. Its cancellation was announced halfway through the season.
About tonight, I'm sorry.
Too late, you're benched.
Number 13. My Dad Says.
I was hoping you and I can get some one-on-one time.
Why? Want to braid each other's hair and talk about boys?
Executives at CBS decided to take a Twitter feed where Justin Halpern wrote down wild comments his dad made and turn it into a sitcom. Unfortunately, this gamble did not pay off. Although William Shatner can pull off comedy, his delivery and dialogue weren't the best during the show's run.
I thought you were one of those jackasses who show up at my front door looking for a handout.
Right, the elections are coming up.
I'm talking about the Girl Scouts.
Viewership for the fledgling sitcom yo-yoed back and forth as everyone struggled to decide whether the show was worth investing in. After it got a mixed reception, Halpern revealed that the original scripts were significantly toned down for network TV. If the show had been as edgy as its title, it might not have gone down as an obscure social media adaptation.
I got laid off, and Dad doesn't know.
Dad doesn't know what?
How hungry I am.
Dad doesn't care.
Number 12. Dads.
Yes. Feel it. Feel the dad.
Early advertisements for Dads promised to give us a comedy where a duo, played by Seth Green and Giovanni Ribisi, have to deal with their terrible fathers. But some viewers may have found the sons to be much more problematic. During the show's short-lived run, the 2 main characters came off as unrelatable and bad people.
What kind of person does that to their own father?
Me. I would have enjoyed it. In fact, I'm going to randomly text my dad the word no right now.
No, don't do that.
All caps and send.
They're so out of touch and self-absorbed that it's hard to root for them. The series also went out of its way to place actress Brenda Song in the center of gags that ranged from uncomfortable to horrifically offensive. Oh, and did we mention that the dads were not fun to watch either? There were simply no good reasons to watch this show full of bad characters.
Yeah, things are going great now, but...
Dad.
What? I was just going to say someday they won't be.
Number 11. My Big Fat Greek Life. Some great ideas are best left alone. In 2003, Nia Vardalos, the star of My Big Fat Greek Wedding, adapted the film into a sitcom for CBS. Some details between the movie and the TV series changed, most notably the actor playing Vardalos' husband.
You know something? You look different.
He does look different.
But aside from the casting switch, the show failed to deliver the same wit and nuance that the source material had. The characters became flat caricatures, resting on Greek stereotypes for laughs.
I would love a house.
Shut up.
You shut up.
Hey.
Our advice? If you're a fan of the movie, skip this spin-off before it ruins the original for you.
But what if you want to cook a lamb tonight?
You do realize, even among Greeks, you're not normal.
Number 10. Inhumans.
We do nothing. We wait.
We do nothing. Brother, that's your strategy for everything.
There are some Marvel fans who consider Iron Fist to be the most lackluster live-action show the company offered this century. However, the most awful adaptation they offered was unquestionably Inhumans. The show centered around a deeply unlikable group of superpowered royals who ruled over a strict class system on the moon. After the big bad Maximus stages a coup against them, the so-called heroes wander around Hawaii. The fish-out-of-water premise leads to lots of lame jokes and boring side stories.
I have no choice. I have to wait here until they send someone to bring me back.
Back where?
The moon.
And when we do get action scenes, they're usually incredibly brief or ruined by lackluster special effects. These problems and more made Inhumans one of the worst superhero shows of modern times.
And throw him from the highest wall in the city. We are not defeated. Not ever.
Number 9, That 80s Show.
Yeah, I've got some bad news myself. Kids, Mother and I split up.
That happened 2 years ago.
During the run of the beloved That 70s Show, Fox executives decided to see if they could get another hit by following a new cast of characters in a different decade. Future television superstars like Kyler Lee and Glenn Howerton were cast to lead the comedy. Fortunately, their careers weren't completely derailed by this lackluster sitcom.
Hi, Dad. Would it be okay if I quit?
Sure, son, sure.
I'm gonna fire you anyway.
Okay, good night.
That 80s Show just didn't have the charm of its more successful predecessor. The ensemble felt like lesser copies of the original characters, and the setting wasn't that retro when the series aired. Although That 80s Show tried to forge its own identity, it never gave fans a compelling reason to leave the 70s.
If you had a chance to go back and do it all again, would you do it any differently?
I wouldn't change a thing, because even if I'd made it, I still would have been unhappy.
Number 8, Insatiable.
I thought it was the worst moment of my life. But looking back, it was one of the best, because it brought me to the man who put me on the path to becoming the most famous beauty queen in the country.
After spending years being made fun of for her weight, Patti Bladell has a violent encounter with a homeless person. She receives a jaw injury that requires her to go on a liquid diet that transforms her body. Patti eventually decides to use her looks and wits to get revenge on people who mistreated her.
Yeah, I want revenge against anyone who has ever been mean to me. I had a taste of victory, but it's not enough. I want more.
This problematic premise made people call out the show for confusing messages about body image and for putting Debbie Ryan in a fat suit. Outside of that, one of the show's many cringy subplots involves a mother falsely accusing someone of heinous crimes. While some viewers tuned in to the offensive plotlines and humor, over 200,000 people asked Netflix to cancel it. The latter group got the cancellation they wanted.
And that's not exactly a message I want to be sending. To you, Your Honor?
Number 7, South Beach.
Hey! Get your Brooklyn ass in there, man. I can't believe how warm this water is. What's up?
It's hard to explain what this failed drama was even about. At the beginning of the premiere, Vincent and Matt leave their lives in Brooklyn behind and journey to Miami. That just so happens to be the place where Matt's ex-girlfriend Ariel is working on a modeling career. Although this sounds like a romantic drama, the show quickly throws criminals and guns into the mix.
You're gonna hit the hotel without telling me? If I can't control my own people, who can I control?
While we appreciate seeing the legendary Giancarlo Esposito as a crime boss, his character and all the other darker subplots feel like they belong on a different show. It doesn't help that Matt and Vincent don't really have distinct personalities. Fortunately, most of the actors and all of the audience moved on from South Beach's identity crisis and unremarkable characters.
There's so much competition, and it could all be over just as fast as it started.
Number 6, Rob.
Rob and Maggie just tied the knot.
We're gonna go to my parents' house to tell them we got married.
I sent my parents a text.
Admittedly, Rob Schneider's real Rob is far from a flawless sitcom. However, he starred in an objectively worse comedy before that Netflix show. Rob centered around a man with obsessive-compulsive disorder who married a woman of Mexican descent before her family found out. He then must try to win them over while trying to avoid awkward situations.
Trust me, it's bad. You know, Maggie has this idea we need to redecorate. You know, she came home with this thing. It looks like SpongeBob took a crap on my couch.
Throughout the show, Rob's OCD and tired stereotypes about Mexican culture are often used as punchlines. And it's hard to feel bad for the title character because he has few redeeming qualities. Ultimately, Rob is an unfunny and lazy sitcom starring Schneider that is best left forgotten.
Don't worry. There will be wine, women, images that haunt you until you're dead. Or worse,
relax.
Number 5. Knight Rider.
How do we put it out?
We do not. We have to wait for it to burn out.
Yet the chances of Mike and I surviving the rising temperature.
1 in 997,000.
That is so not good.
Watching a talking kit instantly change its shape like it's a transformer should have been the most ridiculous part of the Knight Rider pilot. But this reboot constantly surprised us with one outrageous turn after the other. After the pilot throws us in the midst of an undercover mission with no explanation, the show's events quickly devolve into a mix of campy action and fan service. The first episode also has the unconvincing fake-out death of main character Mike and sets up an amnesia plot.
It is possible something traumatic happened and you are repressing your memories, or you have dissociative identity disorder, also known as multiple personality disorder.
Someone doesn't want me to remember.
All of these hokey story turns guaranteed that the show stalled right out of the gate. Unfortunately, every attempt to course-correct Knight Rider failed before this awful remake crashed and burned.
I am sorry, Michael. I do not have that information. It does not seem logical to be upset about the situation.
Number 4. Cavemen.
You just gotta get out there and meet some of them.
That's true, but keep in mind, this isn't like home where everybody's like us. So remember the rule. Stick to your kind. Crave the cave.
If you think giving a mascot from a Geico commercial their own show would be a bad idea, congratulations! You officially have more foresight than whoever decided to greenlight this series. The show was marketed as a unique and hilarious look at what it's like for 3 cavemen to live in modern times. But the main trio were unfunny versions of characters you could find in literally any other adult sitcom. And more than a few viewers and critics felt like the show was using situations with cavemen to make light of actual racial prejudice.
I'm just gonna go.
I'm not passing judgment, Nick.
I'm Joel.
Nuh-uh. Oh my God. I'm sorry. Maybe one of you guys should tie like a piece of colored ribbon in your hair.
The show bombed so hard that American audiences didn't see the entire first season. To add insult to injury, Geico made fun of the show in one of their commercials.
A TV show about us.
What was the deal with that makeup?
Exactly. Why not just use real cavemen?
Number 3. Fred the Show.
Hey guys, good thing you're here. Tell me what you think. This shirt or this one? Huh. Yeah, you're right. This one's terrible.
We thought it was bad enough that the obnoxious and high-pitched internet character known as Fred starred in 2 television movies. Unfortunately, he also got his own TV series in 2012. Fred's misadventures were somehow more annoying in these 11-minute segments than they had ever been before. Basically, every episode saw the titular character complain, try to solve his issue in an absurd way, and then whine some more before the story mercifully ended.
We're saved! I did it!
You're telling me this entire time the door wasn't even locked? You could have just opened it?
Yep.
But it wasn't like there was anyone in the unpleasant supporting cast that we liked either. Viewership dropped pretty quickly for the show during its first and only season. Even Lucas Cruikshank acknowledged Fred's program had issues after he starred as the character.
I don't know why that show got canceled. Like, why wouldn't parents want their kids to watch some lanky-ass boy in really obnoxiously tight skinny jeans hallucinate?
Number 2. Work It.
It's me. It's Lee. Lee? Yeah. This is what I had to do to get a job. Okay, my eyes are up here.
When 2 men have trouble finding work, they decide to dress up as women and apply to work at an office with a mostly female-identifying staff. We can't decide if it's more shocking that their plan worked or that anyone on Earth thought this show was worth putting on TV. Work It spends most of its runtime peddling lazy gender stereotypes and cringe-worthy jokes.
Oh, well, I really should be getting home, you know, single mom and all. What?
Shh. Hello? Have I gotten drunk and slept with a random guy yet? No one is going home until we dance.
And it doesn't help that the leads are detestable and insensitive men who constantly lie to their families and coworkers. While we're still surprised ABC let Work It air at all, at least the network put this horrendous show out of its misery in the US 2 weeks after the premiere.
Oh, I don't want to say that I'd given up hope, but yeah, I kind of had.
Yeah, well, me too.
My brave face was getting so tired.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Viva Laughlin. A show that tried to combine a mysterious death, casino drama, and random musical numbers is considered to be one of the worst television shows in recent memory. Viva Laughlin was meant to be an American take on the relatively well-received British series Blackpool. But the US interpretation could not balance its melodramatic scenes with its silly musical interludes.
I'm still standing better than I ever did. Looking like a true survivor, feeling like a little kid.
Every time an actor tried to deliver a serious line, audiences were likely to burst out laughing. Not even Hugh Jackman's presence could improve this doomed show.
Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste.
While it was canceled after 2 episodes in the United States, Australia gave up after the first airing. Viva Laughlin's silly premise, rough dialogue, and hilariously bad execution made it a legendary 21st century TV flop.
What do you want?
Hot girlfriend, not to live with my mother. Plan to save the Viva that actually works.
That was just the first round, Jonesy. You give up too easy.
Did you actually enjoy any of these shows? Or have any shows to add to the list? Let us know in the comments.
Is this man bothering you?
Leave me and my daughter alone.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.